Hi everyone, and welcome to our second cook-along. This week we have Ossie with us again. We're very excited, and I hope you have a really lovely time. As always, make sure you send us in comments on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, however you're watching, and we can answer them as we go if you have any questions or whatever. And I will bring Ossie onto the screen now.
I've had a haircut.
Hi.
Hello. Hi, Razor. How are you?
Fancy seeing you here. Yeah.
I know, right? Crazy.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm quite all right. Thank you very much. I'm feeling quite lighter on the top.
Yeah, he's got a haircut. Lovely. Quarantine trims.
Indeed.
Amazing.
Straight through. Banging. Yeah. So today we've got two really quick, simple, delicious desserts. One that you can make whilst the other one is cooking. So by the end of it, you'll have two ready to eat at the same time. Yummy.
Wow, so nifty.
I know, right? It's almost as if I planned this.
Wow, what are you like? Okay, so do you want to tell us quickly, like, what the two recipes are, a bit about them, like where you got them from, or
these were two recipes which I helped develop at one of my old jobs, and we worked with an unnamed kitchen supply brand that makes a lot of blenders and choppers and stuff like that, which you may know, which may or may not rhyme with Menwood. Other brands are available, of course. I know. But it was stuff that we were particularly proud of. And I'm also going to break the book by not using any of the machines because you really don't need to. But it's just a nice way of using up some really nice ingredients. We've got a lovely cherry pie turnover. So using up some lovely cherries, lovely fresh cherries rather than anything tinned. You could use tinned if you want, but it's nice fresh ones, and a really simple chocolate mousse, which is a bit of a cheats way of doing it. But again, just gives a really lovely, light, fluffy mousse, funnily enough. And you're going to make the mousse whilst the cherry is baking. So you can have both at the end, like I said earlier. Sweet. Cool.
That's so cool. Okay, amazing. Well, I guess we'll just get started then. Hopefully everyone's with us. If not, you can watch this back anytime, which is amazing.
Anytime you like.
Day or night, 24 hours on our Facebook page and Twitter.
Lovely. So cherries, lovely. A lot of people don't actually know what fresh fruit looks like, which is quite sad for me. But if you go to the Aussie Cam now, there it is. A lovely fresh cherry. See, I'm looking at the Aussie Cam over here, but I've got my other main camera over there, so I'm looking over my shoulder. But lovely fresh cherries. I know. But lovely fresh cherries, which I got from a market just down the road, actually. I want about 150 grams of it, which is about that many. I'm not going to count them, but it's not a huge amount.
A big handful.
Yeah, a big generous handful, plus a few extra for luck. And the most painful part of this is you've got to pick them all out. So a very good time to have mundane conversations about sport and other things that are happening right now, because I know it's quite a busy world at the moment. So, Rosa, did you see that sport that happened on the weekend with that thing?
I literally what is
that was quite a sport they sported, wasn't it? Of all the sports I've seen, that was some of it. Anyway, that's all done.
I think that cherries are a very underrated fruit.
True. All right, cherry and chocolate cake. What's it called? It's a very, very classical combination of flavors.
What's your favorite fruit?
Oh, that is an excellent question. It depends. I like anything that's fresh and seasonal.
Comment your favorite fruit below in the comments, everyone.
No fruit is bad fruit, I don't think. All fruit is lovely and delicious and sweet, especially when it's at the ripe season. I tell you what, you can't beat fresh British strawberries when they're in season, at the peak of their season. They're in season for not very long, for only a few weeks of the year, but oh my God, they are unbelievable.
It's very good to get seasonal fruit as well, ethically, as we know about ethical consumerism within LJY.
Reduced air miles as well, travel that I have to go. So getting apples from locally near you as opposed to imported from all over the world. Although you can get some nice produce from all over the world. It is always best to grab what you can if it's local, because it's going to have a bigger impact on the environment.
We've got a comment from Josh Jabel. Papaya.
Papaya.
Ooh.
Oh, that is nice. I tell you what, papaya. There are two varieties. There's a soft variety and there's a hard variety. And the soft variety is what most people are probably aware of, which is the one that's turned into juices and has got a lovely sort of tropical-y flavor. But there's a hard papaya, which is used a lot in Thai cuisine, which actually makes a delicious salad with quite a spicy dressing.
Interesting. I've never tried that.
It tastes almost like carrot. It's very odd, but it's delicious. Right, so those are your cherries.
Oh, we've got Amos says Ossie is his favourite fruit.
Is that Amos Yachad, who no longer works for
Amos Yachad.
Oh, hey, buddy, how's it going?
He said, I mean, like we said before, we don't have, we're a vegetarian movement. We don't eat people in LJY, but we've got a comment, dragon fruit.
Dragon fruit. Oh, that's a good one. That's exotic, that. I like dragon fruit. Although, to be fair, it's one of those ones that kind of looks a lot better than it tastes, I think. You kind of see it on a plate and you're like, oh my God, what is this like weird spotted fruit? It's got like a pink outside, a really white inside with kind of small black dots. And you kind of see it on a plate and you're like, wow, I want to eat this. And you bite into it and it's kind of just like crunchy water. Kind of like lettuce in that respect. Just looks a lot better than it tastes.
Wow.
But
my favorite is I think that mango is my absolute favorite fruit.
Yeah.
And yeah, my granddad always buys them for me, so they remind me of him as well. And a good point from the Hershons is that they can't pick because they love so many different fruits.
That is the correct answer. There is no such thing as the correct answer with what's your favorite fruit, but that is the correct answer. I'm just going to wash my hands quickly because they're covered in cherry juice. Give my board a wipe. So now I've just got my cherry. Hygiene, very important, especially in days like today. But so those are my chopped up cherries. I'm going to add about 30 grams of Demerara sugar, which is this crunchy, kind of big grain, brownish sugar.
Love it.
Fun fact about sugar, they're all exactly the same. The only thing that changes between it is the amount of molasses content, which is basically a byproduct of sugar production. You get the sugar, the nice, lovely white caster sugar or granulated sugar that you put in your tea or whatever. And then you add back in some of the brown liquid that comes off, which we call molasses, in varying amounts to get different types of sugar. So all sugar is basically the same, but with a bit of molasses in. So
cool. Love that. We've got another input of favorite fruit from Yoni Ehrlich. We've got watermelon.
Watermelon. Yeah. Oh my God.
Wow. Do you remember Ossie on Israel tour when we get watermelon?
Yes.
That was the best days of Israel tour.
Watermelon's great. Watermelon is. I mean, it wasn't maybe not the best days. I think I could think of better things that happened on tour, but you know, it's up there. Yeah. Tour is great. Tour is great though.
Delicious.
And you want about 4 tablespoons of ground almonds, which obviously doesn't make this a nut-free dessert. So if you are allergic to nuts or can't have almonds for whatever reason, then corn flour is a good substitute. Use about 2 or 3 tablespoons of that. So
interesting.
It goes about 1, 2, 3.
Wow, they're ground up really fine. Do they have to be?
It's literally almonds that have been sometimes called almond flour, often just called ground almonds, or as the label that my brother tried to make the other day, which didn't go quite well, crushed almondsy.
Almondsy. Do they need to be ground that finely, or is it flexible?
So you'll still get the same flavor if you use sort of like flaked almonds or whole almonds, but part of the reason for using ground is you see that it's kind of absorbing a lot of the liquid in those cherries at the moment. Aussie can. It's kind of absorbing a lot of the liquid that's in there, and it's quite a dry mixture, which is what you want for now, because those cherries, when they cook in the oven, they're going to release a lot of moisture, and otherwise they just completely come out the sides of it. So you want to use those almonds there. So corn flour is a good substitute if you can't have almonds for whatever reason, but cherry and almond, again, another classical combination. You see that in desserts. I'll keep that for there for now.
We've got another question. Go for it. What are the best fruits in a savoury dish?
Best fruits in a savoury tomatoes. That's my hands down answer. They are. I know it's a bit of a annoying answer because not many people think of it as a fruit. It depends firstly how you define a fruit. that's a whole topic in and of itself. Whether
Is
you
that
define it.
is that a debate amongst the catering
Absolutely.
world?
Well, it's whether you define a fruit botanically. I'll come to normal, Cam.
Let's go.
There we go. So it boils down to, that's a good pun. It boils down to, do you define it botanically or do you define it culinarily? And culinarily, fruits we generally tend to think of are things that we put in sweet dishes. So pears, apples, lemons, for instance, citrus fruits, pomegranates. We've got pomegranate here actually. Oh, pomegranate. Oh, quite an old pomegranate. Should probably use that. Those are what we kind of tend to think as fruits, and we put them in desserts, and they're delicious. They're lovely and sweet. They all fruits botanically reproduce by using seeds and fermented with pollen. And any fruit or vegetable that has a seed is technically a fruit if you look at it botanically. Which also raises an interesting point that when you have a rhubarb crumble, I've got some rhubarb actually. Just get it.
Interesting.
Rhubarb. Loads of big rhubarb there. Rhubarb is technically a vegetable because it doesn't have any seeds. When you have your rhubarb crumble, you're basically having a vegetable crumble. Lovely, fresh British rhubarb there. Again,
amazing.
Grown fairly locally, which is good for air miles. So it depends. It depends how
Very good.
But to come back to my previous answer, tomatoes, the best fruit to have in savoury dishes because they're absolutely loaded with MSG, essentially. MSG kind of gets a bit of a bad rap, but it makes things delicious. It's perfectly safe. It's perfectly fine. There's a lot of it naturally in tomatoes, a lot of it naturally in things like anchovies and garlic and onions. And that's why they're put in a lot of savoury dishes, is they all have that punch of MSG, which you wouldn't know if you didn't have it in there. So it's pretty crucial, but it is a fruit and it makes delicious tomato sauces.
Love that.
Yeah, that's your little bit of trivia for the day. So if you want to come back to Aussie Cam, I'll just show you. I'll carry on answering questions. I'll just show you what I'm doing. Yeah, next question. What was it?
Well, no, we've got a. It's more of a statement.
Oh,
the Hershons were watching the pasta sauce make last week.
Yep.
So I'm just going to say to them quickly that comment below if you've got a picture from when you made your nice pasta last week, because we'd love to see. And yeah,
fantastic.
Back to the puff pastry.
Yeah, so this puff pastry is another one of those wonderful things that we've figured out how to cheat very easily. Traditionally, puff pastry, when you make it in the 18th century in France, it was a show-off thing. It was something that if you had the skills and you had the technology to make puff pastry back in the 1800s, you were loved all over town because it's a really difficult thing to make. We take it a lot for granted because it's made in food factories nowadays, but it's very, very difficult to make. You've got to layer up everything by hand. There's butter, there's flour, there's water. You've got to layer it up perfectly and expertly by hand, and it's very difficult to do. So it used to be something that was only served at very, very high-end restaurants because it was the chef showing off on a plate. Nowadays, you buy it really cheaply at the supermarket, and it's fantastic. This stuff here is actually gluten-free as well, this specific variety. So if you are gluten-free, again, there's no flour in the cherry, in the filling. There's no flour in the pastry itself. So it's a gluten-free dessert.
I know that the rest of my LJY-Netzer movement workers would love that. Shout out to Jacob and Fran, who are both gluten-free. And unfortunately, the Hershons ate the pasta, so we can't see their lovely pasta sauce. But I want to know, did it taste nice? I hope so. Mine was delicious, if I do say so myself.
I want to know if people have made any changes to it, because that's quite a basic tomato sauce. And there's nothing wrong with that at all, but I know a lot of people like to change things up a bit. So I'm interested to see if people have made it or if they would make it again. Would they introduce any changes to it? I'm interested to find out.
I've never been very good at baking myself, so I am excited to try this one soon. It looks quite simple. Is it quite easy?
This one is as easy as it comes.
Amazing.
I'll just finish what I'm doing here and then I'll pick up the Aussie can and show you guys what I'm doing. It's a bit difficult to do both at the same time. Doop, 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 doop. Okey-doke. So those are now divided. I've cut my pastry into 6, and the cherry filling has been equally divided between all of them. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a brush, lovely pastry brush here, and I'm going to crack an egg. Again, if you don't have eggs for whatever reason, then you can use kind of your milk substitute, or just plain milk if you can have that. So it works perfectly fine with vegan milks and nut milks and all that stuff. And yeah, it's just a really good way of keeping it vegan if that's what you go for.
Woo.
Brill. Bear with me a second. Let me just get that there. So I appreciate I've just told you what I'm going to do, but I can't be able to show it because I need both my hands to do this. This is quite a crucial operation.
we can look from the back.
You might get a better view on Aussie Cam, to be fair. Egg looks like me.
Got an egg. Amazing. Yeah, you're an egg now.
Egg for a head. I'm an egg. I'm literally an egghead.
An egghead. Oh, let's see. There we go.
Oh, there we go. Cracked an egg.
That was always the most exciting thing about baking when I was younger.
Cracking the eggs.
Yeah.
I tell you what, eggs and rice are the two things which terrify me. When I'm in a professional kitchen, they absolutely terrify me. Poaching eggs is incredibly difficult. You must excuse the noise for a second. I'm just gonna. Yeah, if you ever find yourself in a professional kitchen and the chef there asks you to make either eggs or rice, turn away and run. You do not want that responsibility. It is terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. I remember on my first day at one of my old works, I was asked to make breakfast for the team, which normally I do very happily. And I was asked to do some poached eggs on some avo toast because we are millennials.
Love it.
And the eggs. Now I'm going to blame the eggs because I did everything textbook. I did everything the way I was taught, and it still didn't turn out right. I'm going to blame the eggs. They weren't very fresh eggs, and anyone who's tried to poach an egg before will know that trying to poach eggs which aren't fresh is witchcraft as far as I'm concerned. It can't be done. And so on my first day in front of all my new colleagues, I had to make it, and I had to remake the eggs so many times that by the time I actually finally managed to put it down in front of them, I don't think any of them were very impressed. So that was a great start. Turned out to be a really great job and really great people, so they didn't mind too much, but always a bit unnerving on your first day.
That's stressful. Oh, we have a question that is, do you have to cut the pastry into smaller pieces depending on how many people you're serving?
You could make a giant one if you really wanted to. You're so inclined. There is nothing wrong with doing that. And the only thing that I would say is that the times and temperatures. Oh, yes, sorry. I've got my oven preheated already to 200. I got ahead of the game there. It's quite a hot oven, which you want for puff pastry. Yeah, you can make this however big you want. It's also one of those recipes that is. You'll notice I haven't really. I've got ingredients. There are ingredients and a recipe listed. It's one of those ones I haven't really measured that much. It's very much a throw it together and kind of just keep an eye on it.
So would that maybe be enough for like 3 people or more? You can have.
Well, this makes 6 of these size turnovers. So probably that's probably more than enough for a child.
Are they quite filling?
Yeah, I mean they're quite rich because it's obviously a lot of butter and not butter. This is vegan, but a lot of pastry and a lot of like sugary filling. Again, like if it's a kid, I'd probably only recommend one. Giving them one because otherwise they'll be awake for a long time afterwards.
Yeah. Okay, amazing. I can't wait to try this. It looks so yummy.
Fold them over.
So, how mashed up are the cherries? Are they quite whole?
Not very. I basically after I took the stones out of them, I just gave them a really rough and ready chop. You don't want them like too big. That they're kind of, I'd say probably cut into 8ths each, but I wasn't precise. I didn't measure out. I just went run it through a few times.
And so now you just fold it over like that.
Now I just fold it over like that.
Amazing. I've done that before to make a nut roast.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly the same principle. Exactly the same principle. We do it for veggie Wellingtons, nut roasts. You can also put savoury fillings and sides. You also don't have to use cherries, of course. Strawberries would be lovely with this. I'm just going to press the edges together a bit with a fork.
Oh, yeah.
Just gives
Don't want it to explode in the oven.
You most certainly do not.
Yeah, so they're going to be serving this to 6 people. So, yeah, it depends how hungry you are, I guess.
If you're making this, serve it to 4 people, then just have 3 to yourself. 2 to yourself, even. Quick maths. Chef's little treat.
Yeah, I think it all just depends on how hungry you are, really. And if you want to save some for later.
Although ideally you do want to eat these warm.
Oh, is it really nice warm? Yeah, and it's Abel. Hi, Abel. Nice to speak to you. Cool. Yeah, I'm sure 1 each will be enough. And then if you really, really like it, then you can make it again another time.
Exactly. It's easy enough. You can also put chocolate in the middle. Chocolate and cherries, a very classic combination. It's funny, those classic combinations seem to be the nicest, but they are. Cherry and almond, cherry and chocolate, chocolate orange you can put in there. So a bit of chocolate nut spread, which shall remain nameless, but would be delicious in there. Maybe with a zest of orange, would be delicious. Just brushing these with egg. Again, you can use your vegan milk or whatever you want.
So have you made these before with other fruits or only with cherries?
I personally haven't, but it's very much open to changing around. Be delicious with strawberries, blackberries, raspberries. Be delicious. Yum. Oh, I'm thinking about it now. Raspberry and white chocolate. That'd be delicious.
Is when you're using vegan milk for brushing, can you just use any of them, like almond, coconut?
Absolutely. You can just use
oat.
A little bit of everything. It's actually, I'm also going to sprinkle on a little bit of demerara sugar, which
let's get that on the big screen. That's like Sugar Bay.
Sugar. If you want to make a mess, you can do that. If you don't, you can just do that. It's up to you. It's your kitchen. You can do what you want. Those are like that. Give my hands another quick wash. And make sure these are all there. Get my tray. Right. Okay. This is going to be quite the maneuver. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
Suspense.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. That's fine. Was I worried?
Have they fallen apart?
No. You might have done.
Yeah. So in one big swift motion.
You know what?
Right.
Do as I say, not as you've just seen me do. I'm going to put these on 2 smaller trays because I'm not confident that is going to be big enough. Whoopsie. That's the first rule of kitchen is have confidence to change your mind. If you don't think something's going to work, then use your instincts and change it. And I don't think that's going to work, so I will change it.
It sounds so noisy.
It's the baking paper.
Amazing.
Okay, so 3 per tray. 1, 2, 3. Of course, being at puff pastry, you need to give them a little bit of room to maneuver.
Yeah. The thing I love the most about puff pastry is that it's like you look at it 1 minute and then the next minute you turn around and it's got a whole new look and it's just like expanded so quickly.
Yeah,
very exciting.
It's crazy. I mean,
how long are they in the oven for?
So they want to be in for about 15 to 20 minutes. It's one of those ones that, depending on your oven,
make sure you keep checking. A bit quirky. Because
keep checking back on
it. You don't want to turn around and they're suddenly.
No, you do not.
There we go.
There you go. I can't
Have a look at that. Amazing.
Still look at that. So you get 6 of those. There's 2 trays of these. In goes 1. In goes 2. And put a timer on. Whoop. No, you know what, Rosa? Can you put a timer on? I've got every piece of technology doing this already, and I can't do it.
Sure, no problem. So how long?
About 15 minutes would be great. Thank you.
Okay,
and I'll check
amazing.
Back on them after that.
Let's go. 15 minutes.
Fantastic. I'm just going to grab myself some water. It's always important to stay hydrated whilst you're cooking and talking at the same time.
And now onto the mousse. I don't know if people saw, but I did a typo, which was a bit sad. Yeah.
I will be constructing an entire mousse out of chocolate.
Yeah, no, I was feeling really bad to the mousse community. I'm really sorry.
No, dear. I'm sure they'll be fine. I'm sure they'll just be fine.
There used to be a chant about. Did there used to be a chant about?
There used to be a mower called Moosey.
Oh, shout out to Moosey.
Shout out to Moosey. Yeah, so it's in
Sorry,
dedication
Moosey, that I said that we were going to be making you into chocolate Moosey. But yeah, no, the French spelling, it is Mousse, as I've now learnt.
Spot on.
Amazing.
Spot on.
So what's step number 1?
So now the other recipe I didn't really measure out, but this one you do want to a bit. This is a bit of a cheats chocolate mousse. Oh, we've got a notification, or someone has. This is a bit of a cheats chocolate mousse because usually it involves a lot of eggs, a lot of whipping. This involves a little bit of whipping, but not too much. Quite a lot of time, and then it needs to set up for quite a while afterwards. But this is kind of a close approximation of a French chocolate mousse, a classic French chocolate mousse.
So how come you said that it should be dark chocolate preferably? Is that because it comes out better, like the taste?
I personally think that it tastes a lot better. I think it tastes a lot nicer. I think because it's basically going to be diluted. There's 2 main ingredients to this mousse, which is cream and chocolate. And I think when you put like a milk chocolate with a load of cream and dairy, it kind of almost dilutes it a bit. So I think a really nice dark bitter chocolate works really, really well with what we're going to do for this recipe. So I've got 125 grams of chocolate there. What I'm going to do is, in sort of like 20 or 30 second bursts in the microwave, just keep melting it. You don't want to overheat chocolate. You always want to make sure that when you melt it, there's still a few cubes left, and then you can stir it into the melted stuff, and it can then melt naturally from there. If you overheat chocolate, it can get a bit grainy. Chocolate is actually one of those. It's surprisingly scientific. There's a lot of chemistry that's involved and science that's involved in getting good chocolate. There's something that I actually studied in one of my modules at uni last year. Was working
Amazing.
With chocolate.
Well, me and Ossie both went to uni in Birmingham, and one of my favourite things about Birmingham was that I used to live really close to Bourneville. Shout out to all the Brummies watching. And I used to sometimes come out of my house in the mornings, and I could literally smell the chocolate. It was great, but it made me so hungry.
I once knew someone called I need to get this name right. They were like I think their job title was it was like chocolate engineer, I think. It was some other word, like technical chocolate engineer or something like that. And their job was literally to look over the chocolate making process as if it were like a chemical process. So
at Cadbury's World.
I don't think it was at Cadbury's. I think it was. No. I don't know where it was actually, to be fair. But they were a chemical engineer by trade. So their training and all their work up to that point have been looking at like getting chemical processes and the efficiency of those, and then they just applied it to chocolate, which sounds a bit weird, but it makes perfect sense. It's very. It's definitely, if you're interested in chocolate, which I'm sure everyone is, it's definitely worth looking at.
Ooh.
So I've got, this is the most manual work you're going to be doing. This is 300 mils of double cream. And if you have an electric whisker, then it's a good way of using it up. If not, don't worry. You need a bit of elbow grease. So I'm also going to put in, before I start, I'm also going to put in about a tablespoon of maple syrup or whatever kind of sweetener you want in there. Honey's nice. You could also use sugar. Vanilla paste, if you've got it. It's quite difficult to find. It's also quite expensive, but it is delicious. So maple syrup works fine. And you kind of got to get whipping for a bit. So excuse me whilst I concentrate on this. And whilst I do this, Rosa is going to talk to you all about the...
we've got a question.
Yes, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, Rosa's going to talk to you about the fact that we have a question.
Okay, so is there an alternative to cream, as I cannot eat cream?
That is an excellent question, and I will... simple answer is I don't know. It's one of those recipes that kind of requires some sort of dairy. You could probably try... I know this is something you'd have to try out, so don't quote me on it. But if you take a tin of coconut milk, and sorry, I'm making an absolute mess here. If you take a tin of coconut milk and leave it in the fridge overnight, and then the solid bit that comes out of that, apparently, if you whisk that, that's basically like a whipped cream, but it doesn't hold as soon as it heats up. I've been told that's an okay
so
substitute.
Interesting. I guess also it depends why you can't eat cream. Like, is it because you're vegan? If you don't have dairy, because you can get non-dairy whipped cream, can't you?
I can. Okay.
Or different types of cream, I think.
Yeah, I mean, for this recipe, I don't know of any sort of non-dairy straight substitutes. You can make vegan whipped, almost similar to egg whites, using the water that's in a tin of chickpeas.
Yeah.
Aquafaba. I've made some really cool vegan desserts using that.
I really want to try that. I've never tried it before.
You know what?
So yeah, that can be our next venture.
You know how I said earlier about if you think you made the wrong decision, then change your mind?
Ooh, there we go.
I'll use a bowl that, one, you can see in, and two, actually makes it possible to whisk.
Oh yeah, and we've got a question from Yoni. What were your favourite places to eat in Birmingham?
Oh.
It's a very good question, isn't it?
So
well, I will tell a little story.
Go on, then.
Me and Ossie used to have great times going to Falafel Munch in Selly Oak. My favourite place ever. Amazing, authentic Middle Eastern falafel. And they do amazing juices as well. Like, that was one of my favorite places in Birmingham. So you've got to check it out. And me and Ossie used to sit there together when it was nice and warm outside on the bench and eat our falafel wrap.
Yeah.
Good times.
Good time.
I'm sure Ossie has lots to contribute about the different places to eat.
I actually got well, I'd say a part-time job. It was kind of a favour I was doing for one of my old workplaces. Where I basically had to scout out some restaurants that I would recommend as a local in Birmingham, and take a load of pictures for them. And I basically got paid to eat really well for 2 months at these really, really nice local restaurants in Birmingham, which are all now available on an app, which, again, I don't know if I will plug, but if you...
Wow.
know me and know my past work history, you might know which company it's for, and you might see it on their app, which is quite well publicized. So all the Birmingham restaurants are mine, and I highly recommend all of them. There's so much food in Birmingham, such a good food scene. I think London's obviously we're spoilt for choice here in London, in terms of the variety of food and the quality of food as well. Particularly, it's not just here's this restaurant that's of this cuisine. It's here's this restaurant of this cuisine that's also fantastic. There's a really good variety. Whisking cream by hand.
So how is it coming along with the cream? Let's have a close up.
It is getting slightly stiffer. You see the viscosity is improving a bit. We want to get this to what we call soft peaks. which are exactly what they sound like. So you can, which is about there.
Ooh.
When you lift up that, a little bit more.
That level of consistency.
Yeah, when you kind of lift up the whisk and it makes a peak, but it kind of falls over. That's called soft peaks. Just wash my hands quickly. The chocolate, you see how it's still got a few chunks in it. It's not completely molten. I'm just going to stir it all together.
Okay.
Oh, I've just done it. There are basically a few chunks on top. And I want to heat. You always want to heat chocolate very, very gently. It can be a very temperamental thing, chocolate, if it's not treated with the respect that it deserves, I think. You know what? What always works with a bit of chocolate is a wee pinch of salt.
Ooh.
So a little bit of salt in the cream makes it
Salt Bay.
really lovely. Salt Bay in if you want, or if you don't want to make a mess, you don't have to. This is the part that requires, it's handy if you have an electric whisk, but again, it's not completely necessary. We're just going to pour one into the other, basically. And keep whisking, get it all combined.
Oh, okay. So it might be good if you have someone with you who can pour it in while you whisk.
You can do it on your own if you're not running a stream at the same time. That usually makes things a lot easier. So don't do this while you're running a stream, he says, whilst running a stream. That's usually a great idea. Spatula. The last of you in there.
Wow. So
this is a really a cheats way of doing mousse, and with this you don't want to wait too long. You can make this like a day in advance if you really wanted to, but you really want to keep it much beyond that because the cream could collapse basically, which is why in a traditional mousse you'd use eggs and other kind of agents which would kind of help it stick together. But as a sort of cheat, if you're just going to make this quickly and serve it, then by all means use it because it works really well. And there is then a really quick, simple chocolate mousse.
Wow. We've got a question. Josh Powell heard that Birmingham is the chocolate capital of the UK. Did you find that, Ossie?
Did I find it was a chocolate capital of the UK?
Yeah, rude that he didn't ask me, but whatever.
You know what? I'm going to say something that's a bit sacrilege for an adoptive Brummie.
Because I think it might have been from Yoni that he'd heard rumours about it being the chocolate capital.
It very well could be. I mean, I know obviously Cadbury's was founded and invented there. Mr. John Cadbury made his company there. It's obviously got a very long history with chocolate there. How am I doing for time, by the way, Rosa? Just want to double check.
We have only 2 minutes left.
Fantastic. Well, this chocolate mousse is done, so you can get it ready to serve. So yes, historically, yes, it could be the chocolate capital of the world, of the UK even. Chocolate capital of the world, I would argue, is Belgium. Some people might argue Switzerland. Some people might argue the Americas, where the cocoa bean actually comes from. But I say Belgium because I think the nicest chocolate comes from Belgium. But again, it's all personal preference.
Does the nicest chocolate come from Birmingham in the UK?
The most Cadbury-esque chocolate comes from Birmingham. I will say
What's your favourite British chocolate bar?
My favourite British chocolate bar.
Is that a bit niche?
That is an excellent question, Rosa. Excellent question. I like a Twix.
Interesting. Galaxy is always my favourite.
Galaxy,
and they recently brought out a vegan Galaxy, so I've been enjoying. Yeah, and my family sent me 10 of them in the post, massive ones.
Oh, wow.
So I've been getting through it.
Very nice.
We got a comment from Martha saying, "Nice haircut, Ossie."
Thank you very much. It makes me more aerodynamic.
It makes you be able to pace around the kitchen faster.
Exactly.
No hair to get in the way.
Exactly.
And she said, great question, Josh. So hopefully everyone enjoyed your answer.
Thank you. But yeah, I think chocolate is just such a fascinating material or ingredient. There's so much you can do with it. It's so scientific.
Let's get into Aussie Cam. That looks fun.
Aussie Cam.
What's
So I've got a Cheats piping bag here. This is just a food bag. I've got it all in one corner. Cut a little hole in it. If we were,
where's the hole in the corner?
I'm about to cut it. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So just get it in any kind of plastic bag. You can go into chef shops and buy proper piping bags, but unless you're actually doing stuff in a professional kitchen, there's no point. Is that the timer?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Let's have a look. Wow. This pastry's looking good.
Amazing.
Let's have a look. Let me have a look. Yeah. Damn, they're looking good. So that's 15 minutes in. I think they could do with just a few more minutes to get.
Bring it a bit closer. Let's have a quick look.
They've exploded a little bit out the side, but I think they could do it a little bit longer. I'm not going to lie. Which again is kind of about this recipe. It kind of just depends on you having a look. And I'm just going to switch the trays over. Having a look. Use your instincts. If you think it needs more, give it a bit more. If you think it's done, it's done. It's got the first bite is always with the eye. So if it looks good, it's probably going to taste good. And I don't think those look quite as good as they could be if they weren't in there for another 2 minutes.
Wait, so I'm putting another timer on now?
Yeah, okay. Just 2 minutes or so, it'll be fine.
2 minutes. Okay.
Lovely.
I'd feel really bad if I was the reason that they ended up burning. But I put the timer on now, so.
It's my responsibility. It's my kitchen. So,
let's zoom back in.
Into the Aussie Cam. I've literally just cut a little bit off the edge. You don't need to do anything particularly fancy, but it just helps to get a bit of a nicer, kind of get these little ribbons if you want to.
Wow.
Just gives it a bit more height. Bit of a twist.
Ooh.
And chocolate mousse. There you go. Delicious with a few fresh berries or whatever, or maybe a little bit of drizzle of little extra cream.
Oh, yeah. If you've got any cherries left over, then that's perfect.
Of course I do. Literally with a cherry on top.
Ooh, very exciting.
Let me pick a really nice one.
Yeah. Okay.
Ta-da.
Wow. Oh,
super
my
simple
God.
chocolate mousse. And then what I'll do is I'll as soon as this, well, I can start doing it now actually. I'll get some proper nice photos of these so you can circulate them around. Get the camera.
Yeah, make sure if you do this, to take a lovely picture to send to us. You might get featured on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everything. And yeah, Aussie's got his professional cam. So we've got Aussie Cam 2.0
Aussie
going
Cam.
on.
I don't know if you can see that.
Amazing. And we've got a couple of comments. Josh says, yummy, it looks like a dessert samosa. What do you think, Rosa? And I say, do you know what? Everyone knows how much I love a samosa. Time is done, Aussie. Don't forget. Yeah. I love a savoury samosa, and I'm very ready to try a dessert samosa.
Samosa's delicious.
The only word that rhymes with my name. I think it's fake.
Very nice.
We've got Rebecca Fetterman. Do you do deliveries?
Yes, they are absolutely laced with flour and gluten-containing contents, I'm afraid, though. So, in answer to your next question,
that was sorry. Gluten.
This is gluten-free. My kitchen is not gluten-free by any means. I do apologise. But this is completely gluten-free because it's using gluten-free puff pastry.
Someone forgot to preheat the oven. That's Joe Edwards.
Forgot to preheat the oven. Oh no, you just have to wait a bit longer. Again, it's one of those like you can get away with it.
It's much better to forget to preheat the oven than to forget to take it out the oven in time. Or
to not even turn the oven on, because that has happened many a time. That's not good.
My God, that's happened to me many times.
Yeah, not too good. Let me just get these plated up nicely, and then I can get a few lovely pictures. Wow, quite hot. It's still very warm, but I will pick the nicest one.
Let's hold it up to the camera in a second.
There you go.
Wow. Oh my God.
Pastries. I'm bringing them over to the Aussie cam. I can show you my madness when it comes to placing things up and photography.
I'm going to have to head to the shops right after this.
You'd be surprised the amount of work that goes into making food photos pop and look quite nice.
All the colours.
Often inedible by the time. Yeah, there's a lot of editing. In fact,
have you tried it yet?
Have I tried it yet? Not quite.
But not quite.
But not quite. Let me just get the framing right.
All the angles.
Amazing. Etc. Etc. Have a look at that. Nice.
How does the picture look? Could she show the picture?
It won't really show up too well on this, I don't think.
Oh, fair.
But
maybe you can send it to me and I can post it in the comments.
I will send that to you as soon as I can. I'm gonna play around with them and edit them a bit. But yeah.
Oh, that looks so nice.
I'll get some proper pictures later, but yeah, I'll be sure to make sure those are sent out. So yeah, that is 2 very simple, very delicious desserts. One with chocolate mousse and one which is a cherry turnover, which you can adapt any loads of flavors. All made in about 25 minutes at the same time, whilst doing a stream.
Wow.
Sweet.
That is unreal. Thank you so much, Ossie. We've also got Lauren asking where your hair's gone.
Where's my hair gone? It's currently, it's in the bin at the moment, but it was in the garden floor because that's where I had to do it. It was unbelievable. I genuinely felt lighter when I had it taken off because there was just so much.
Nice. And we've got Martha, Aussie is a legend. Agreed. Thank you so much. That is so nice. So if anyone tries any of this, please send us your pictures. We really want to see how they turn out. And make sure you're in touch. If you have any more questions, just leave it in the comments and we'll get back to you. And yeah, thank you so much for joining. And Aussie, show it on the screen one more time. Amazing. And have you tried the mousse as well?
I tried a little bit in the bowl. I haven't tried the one that's on here because I want to get a nice photo of it. But it
seems good.
It's chocolatey and moussey, which are the both things you want. So very fluffy. Running all over the place. Cherry turnovers and chocolate mousse. Done.
Thank you so much. Okay, goodbye everyone. If you have any requests of anything you want to see, then make sure you let us know.
I'm happy to fulfill requests. I quite like to do some challenges. If anyone's got like some kind of challenges that make me want to cry a bit, then do it because it's always quite fun to put someone under pressure. So if you think of any kind of dishes or anything that would put me through my paces that's reasonable, then let us know and I will see what I can do. That's always
so fun. Okay, yeah, thank you so much for joining. And yeah, that was Aussie's Virtual Cooking School. Bye everyone.
Cheers guys, thank you. See you around.